Hi everyone, welcome to BVV. Today we're going to be doing a pump mechanism replacement on one of our vacuum pumps. This is a mechanism right here. It comes as an assembled unit. There's nothing to do assembly wise in your end. This is just going to be a replacement for a pump where it has unknown issues, not holding vacuum very well, it makes grinding noises, etc. This is just a full replacement so you don't have to troubleshoot any further. We do have individual vane rebuild kits available as well. They're a little more intrusive into the pump. You have to go all the way inside the mechanism to replace them. So to do a mechanism replacement, we're going to start by draining the oil. It's already done. Make sure your sight glass is empty. Look inside, no oil. There's always going to be a little bit of oil, so I recommend putting some cardboard down. Wearing gloves for sure so you don't get all slimy. And other than that, let's get started. So the only tools I'm going to use, we have a 4 and 5 millimeter Allen wrench. I have this ball and 4 millimeter to help me out a little bit. And then an adjustable wrench. That's all we're going to need. So the first thing to do, we're going to take off these 4 screws that are holding the entire pump housing, this front part of your vacuum pump. So after you take these off, you will have some oil spill out, so just be ready for that. What I'm going to do is stand the pump up on its rear end, so then any oil that's in the bottom here is going to go into this middle holding plate. It has a little bit of room for oil to just sit there, so I'm just going to do that for now. It'll have less spillage out of the base if you do it this way. The ball end really helps here. So you could use a regular Allen wrench, but you just have to continuously reposition. But it's very doable. Ball and wrench, nice and easy. Just these 4 screws, make sure they're all loose. Take them out, put them on the table, don't lose those. Now the head's just going to come off, it's already loose. You can see there's some oil spilling out. That's pretty normal, so yeah, nothing to do about that. See our pump head right here. We're going to take this whole piece off. So before I spill too much oil, I'm just going to try to drain it into here. Alright. Just try to clean up around electronics just in case anything runs inside here. You probably don't want that. But it's going to be just fine how it is. There is a gasket on this pump cover, so you're just going to want to make sure that gasket stays seated. If it comes out, just pop it back in. It's just a rubber gasket. So the next step, I'm just going to use my 5 millimeter Allen wrench for these 3 screws right here. You don't have to do these middle screws, you can leave those as is. So you can see it goes in. These are a little more solid than the outer ones. Just crack them all first. And I'll continue on. Just take them all the way out. They're extremely long, so just make sure you keep going until it's completely loosened. And here's our new pump module. You'll notice that it comes with these 3 screws, so you do not have to reuse the old ones. You can if you want. The new ones will come with a bolt on the back to keep everything together. This will not be used. We're going to take that off. So I just cleaned up a little bit, changed out my cardboard. I have everything organized here. This is the old piece. This is our new pump mechanism. So I'm going to start by just taking off the bolts on the back side that hold this thing together, and we'll install it on the pump. They're usually hand tight. You can probably use a small wrench if you need to. Some of them might be really on there. And then we have 3 small washers that are on the back as well. Just want to make sure I get all those off. Then I can use my new bolts that came with the new pump mechanism. You're going to want to line up the shaft on the inside of the pump here. So we don't want to mess up any of these gaskets. There's 3 O-rings. There's a large one here, small one, and then this triangles one. Make sure they're all good. On the inside, you can see there is a keyway to line up with this. So get it the closest you can. You might have to just gently jiggle it on. You want to be careful to make sure this goes straight in. If it doesn't go straight, you can mess up the shaft seal. So I'll just jiggle a little bit. You can see there's small gaps. As long as you close all the gaps along the side, you know that it's seated in that key slot. I'm just gonna loosely put these bolts on for now. Okay, so it's not even hand tight, they're just on there to hold it. I'm actually gonna take off the cover of our fan so we can turn it by hand and just make sure everything's good. Just gonna use a regular Phillips screwdriver for this. There's one on the bottom, one on the back, and one right here. I already got the other 2 off. So now the fan, you're going to want to turn it counterclockwise just to make sure everything is loose. Before doing this, I might recommend putting a little bit of vacuum pump oil into the inlet. It'll just go inside and help lubricate anything spinning before we put any oil in the pump. I'm just going to put 1 or 2 milliliters in here. I'm going to turn it counterclockwise. Everything's spinning good. If it was too tight, you'd feel the restriction. It wouldn't want you to spin over here, so these are a little more tight. There is some resistance. And that's what we want. We want to make sure this keeps spinning. So while I'm tightening these, to know that it's not too tight, we're going to just get these hand tightened first, just a touch past maybe. So nowhere near the amount of force it took to take these off. We're just gonna leave it like that. I can already feel that it's much different. And then we want this to keep rotating while we torque these down to know that we didn't torque it down too much, and then we're gonna do the braking procedure. So I'm actually going to plug this in. Power cord's right here. You want to be careful with this fan, it's going to be open. The best thing to do would just be take the cover, put it back on, and then you don't have the fan open hitting the cord. So we'll do that real quick. Okay. Now I have my cord. I'm just going to plug that in. Make sure your pump is off when you're plugging it in. I'm going to grab a paper towel, and anything that goes in the pump will come out through the exhaust, which is really in the top. So I'm going to make sure I cover that so no oil sprays all over the room. I'm going to get my dropper again, put a little bit inside, just like 2 milliliters. Now when this pump turns on, it's going to start spraying oil, bubbling out here, and that's going to be normal because we just put it in, so just get ready for that. And then what I'm going to do is slightly tighten all the bolts and hear the resistance of the pump. So if it gets too tight, you're going to want to back it off and make sure it's not over torqued. Then we can let it break in after that. We're going to turn it on. Over tighten it, you can hear the pump will seize up, so we don't want that. That'll tell you it's too tight. You just want to back off that screw a little bit, keep going. Okay, sounds pretty good. It's basically more than finger tight, so we can go ahead and put this on. We're going to run it for 1 hour and break it in. I'm just going to put my oil cap back on, and then I'm going to start the pump for 1 hour. Now it can get misty if you leave open your oil or your pump inlet right here, so I'm just going to close it off, so it's going to be pulling a vacuum for an hour on itself basically, or else your room will pull that air through, it'll get compressed inside the pump, and you get a lot of oil mist out this cap. Alright, let's let it go for an hour. So it's an hour later, I can turn my pump off. Got pretty hot, a lot of oil spilled out. I would not do this in an enclosed area. You want to let your pump just off gas outside. It'll make a lot of oil mist when you're just pulling through regular air without hooked up to a vacuum system. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching.